Imagine two men standing side by side. Both are 70 years old. The first man, let us call him Steve A., is standing on a beach in California, waxing a surfboard. He moves with fluid precision. His mind is razor sharp, and his heart beats with the steady, powerful rhythm of a drum. He looks at the ocean not with fear, but with pure anticipation. Then there is the second man, Steve B. He is gasping for air just trying to walk to his mailbox. He is frail. His memory is a dense fog, and his joints feel like they are filled with broken glass. He spends his days managing medications, and his nights worrying about being a burden to his children. We look at these two men, and we tell ourselves a comforting lie. We say Steve A. simply has great genetics. But the truth is much more profound. Now picture a muscular young man in a loud gym scooping a cheap white powder called creatine into a shaker. Next to that image, picture Steve B. again, his hands trembling as he barely holds a teacup. For the last 30 years, we have been fed a massive lie. We were told this white powder was strictly a muscle-building drug, exclusively for bodybuilders. But what if that cheap, ignored supplement is actually one of the most powerful anti-aging molecules known to science? What if adding this exact molecule to your daily routine in your 40s, 50s, or 60s could completely rewrite your cellular destiny? Forget about getting big biceps. We're talking about hacking directly into your biological clock. To understand how we can rewrite this destiny, we must first look at the invisible enemy, tearing us down from the inside. Aging is not just about getting wrinkles, gray hair, or stiff joints. At its very core, beneath the surface of what we can see, aging is a catastrophic energy crisis happening on a microscopic level. Imagine your body is a sprawling, bustling metropolis. For this magnificent city to function, for your heart to beat, your lungs to expand, and your brain to process complex thoughts, it requires a constant, massive supply of electricity. In human biology, this electricity is a molecule called adenosine triphosphate, or simply ATP. ATP is the universal currency of life. Every single time you blink your eyes, take a step, digest a meal, or try to remember a cherished name, you are spending ATP. Now, where does this vital currency come from? It is manufactured inside billions of microscopic power plants within your cells called mitochondria. When you are in your 20s and 30s, these power plants are pristine, robust, and highly efficient. They churn out boundless amounts of ATP, allowing you to recover quickly from stress, stay mentally sharp, and feel physically invincible. But as the decades pass, a silent, merciless decay takes hold. By the time you reach your 50s, 60s, and beyond, your cellular power plants begin to rust. They suffer from oxidative stress, becoming damaged, sluggish, and wildly inefficient. The daily production of ATP plummets dramatically. Your cells are suddenly starved for the energy they desperately need to survive and repair themselves. This is exactly why you feel that profound, bone-deep exhaustion. This is why a simple flight of stairs suddenly feels like climbing a mountain, and why your mental focus drifts away into an unpredictable fog. Your body is not just casually getting tired, it is quite literally running out of the fundamental spark of life. The city's electrical grid is experiencing daily rolling blackouts, and the biological infrastructure is slowly shutting down. This is exactly where the great gym deception ends and the true biological magic begins. When you consume creatine on a daily basis, you are not just feeding your muscles for a workout, you are effectively depositing immense wealth into a massive cellular energy reserve bank. You see, when a molecule of ATP is spent to give you energy, it loses a crucial piece of itself and turns into a dead, useless molecule called ADP. It is exactly like a rechargeable battery that has been completely drained of its juice. Your aging, rusted mitochondria struggle terribly to recharge it quickly enough. But creatine steps in as the ultimate rapid-fire emergency charger. It naturally stores itself in your cells, carrying a spare energy piece. The very moment an ATP battery dies and turns into useless ADP, creatine instantly donates its piece, snapping the battery back to full, explosive power in a fraction of a second. By keeping this energy reserve bank fully stocked every single day, you bypass the rusted power plants altogether. You are forcibly pumping premium, high-grade fuel back into a dying grid. Instead of helplessly letting your cells wither and die from energy starvation, you awaken a fierce, dormant vitality. The cellular rolling blackouts completely stop. The lights inside the city come blazing back on. The crushing fatigue that you thought was just a normal, unavoidable part of getting older begins to evaporate. You are actively fighting back against the decay, flooding your entire biological system with the exact raw power it needs to repair, defend, and thrive. Now that we understand how this energy crisis cripples the body, we must turn our attention away from our muscles and look upward to the most energy-hungry organ in the entire human machine, your brain. Despite making up only roughly 2% of your total body weight, your brain is a relentless, ravenous furnace. It consumes an astonishing 20% of your body's total energy supply every single day. Every memory you recall, every complex problem you solve, and every subtle emotion you feel requires a massive, uninterrupted flood of electrical power. But just like the physical body we talked about, the mind is deeply vulnerable to the rusting of our cellular power plants as we grow older. When the energy grid in your head starts experiencing those microscopic rolling blackouts, the symptoms are incredibly frustrating and entirely undeniable. You walk into a room and suddenly forget why you went in there. A familiar word sits right on the tip of your tongue, but your mind just cannot seem to grasp it. You struggle to hold your focus during a long conversation, feeling a dense, heavy cloud settling over your thoughts. We casually call this brain fog, and we brush it off as a harmless, quirky sign of getting old. But neurologically speaking, this fog is a desperate warning siren. It is the sound of your neurons suffocating, frantically struggling to fire their signals without enough raw power to complete the connection. This is where the true, life-altering power of our biological hack comes into play. You see, the brain is protected by a highly selective fortress wall known as the blood-brain barrier. Its primary job is to keep toxins and dangerous chemicals out of your sensitive neural tissue. Most ordinary supplements simply bounce off this wall, completely useless to your mind. But creatine is different. It holds the key to the gates. When you maintain a steady, daily supply of this molecule, it successfully crosses the blood-brain barrier, bringing that massive, rapid-fire energy reserve directly into your delicate brain tissue. Once inside, it immediately goes to work on those suffocating neurons. It acts like a high-speed refueling station for your most critical neural pathways. When a brain cell fires a signal and depletes its energy, creatine is right there, instantly snapping the battery back to full power before the cell can even register the fatigue. The fog begins to lift. Your cognitive processing speeds up, your memory recall becomes sharper, and your ability to sustain deep, prolonged focus is violently reawakened. But the incredible benefits do not stop at simply making you feel smarter or more alert in the moment. By ensuring that your brain cells are never starved for power, you are essentially forging a biological suit of armor around your entire nervous system. Starvation and chronic exhaustion are exactly what cause delicate brain cells to wither, degrade, and eventually die off, accelerating severe cognitive decline. By constantly bathing your neurons in this premium, rapidly accessible energy, you are actively defending them against the ravages of time. You are fundamentally changing the internal environment of your brain, protecting its physical structure, and dramatically slowing down the inevitable cognitive decay that traps so many older adults in a state of confusion and fear. While your brain relies on a constant, lightning-fast stream of electrical signals to keep you sharp, your physical body requires something entirely different to keep you moving. It requires solid, undeniable structure. As we push past our 50s and into our 60s and 70s, a terrifying, silent thief begins to rob us of this very structure. This thief is a medical condition called sarcopenia, which is the age-related progressive loss of skeletal muscle mass and functional strength. For many people, the absolute greatest fear of growing older is not necessarily a sudden, unexpected illness. It is the slow, deeply humiliating loss of independence. It is that creeping, heavy realization that gravity is becoming stronger, that walking up a gentle, sloping driveway is a monumental physical struggle, and that standing up from a low chair suddenly requires someone else to hold your hand and pull you to your feet. As the muscle fibers shrink and wither away over the years, the entire skeletal framework of your body becomes loose, fragile, and dangerously unstable. This frailty makes every minor slip or stumble a potential catastrophe. It is the heartbreaking difference between living an active, vibrant life and eventually becoming a prisoner in your own living room. But here is where our daily routine reveals its second, equally miraculous mechanism. We already know it is a rapid-fire energy charger for the mind. But inside your physical framework, creatine acts as an immensely powerful biological magnet. When it enters your system, it actively pulls water directly into the deepest microscopic chambers of your muscle cells. We are not talking about the uncomfortable, puffy water retention that sits just under your skin and makes you feel bloated. We are talking about deep, profound intracellular hydration. The creatine forces the muscle cells to swell from the inside out, filling them up with life-giving fluid until they are taut, firm, and physically robust. This internal cellular swelling does something absolutely fascinating to your biology. It acts as a powerful mechanical trigger. When the walls of the muscle cells stretch outward from the sudden hydration, it sends a loud, undeniable survival signal directly to your DNA. It tells your biological software that these muscles are active, engaged, and structurally vital to your existence. In response to this swelling, your body immediately ramps up the process of protein synthesis, actively laying down new microscopic building blocks to fortify and repair the tissue. Instead of allowing your muscles to slowly melt away into frailty, this daily internal hydration forces your body to fiercely protect and maintain its structural integrity. By simply keeping those cells fully hydrated and biologically awake, you are effectively building an impenetrable physical fortress around your skeleton. You are transforming a body that is teetering on the dangerous edge of physical collapse into a highly functional, sturdy, and reliable machine. You preserve the vital, raw core strength necessary to carry your own heavy groceries, effortlessly catch your balance when you trip on a sidewalk, and rise easily from that low chair entirely on your own. You are not just preserving basic muscle tissue, you are fiercely guarding your personal dignity and your ultimate freedom to move through the world exactly on your own terms. Let us bring our minds back to the very beginning of this journey. Think back to those two 70-year-old men, Steve A. and Steve B. We now know with absolute scientific certainty that the man effortlessly waxing a surfboard did not simply win a genetic lottery, and the frail man struggling to reach his mailbox did not just suffer a cruel stroke of bad luck. The difference between those two entirely different realities is not written in the stars. It is written in the daily choices they made to protect and fuel their cellular machinery. You now possess the exact blueprint to build the resilient, vibrant reality of the first man. We have journeyed through the microscopic rust that drains your daily vitality. We have seen how a simple daily habit can violently reawaken your aging brain, supplying it with the boundless electrical power it needs to remain sharp, focused, and free from that suffocating mental fog. We have also witnessed how this exact same molecule builds an unbreakable fortress around your physical framework, pulling vital hydration deep inside your muscle cells to maintain the raw, undeniable strength you need to stay fiercely independent. You no longer have to accept the terrifying narrative that growing older means slowly losing your dignity, your precious memories, and your freedom to move on your own terms. The most astonishing part of this entire biological revolution is just how incredibly simple and financially accessible it really is. You do not need a prescription, and you do not need to visit an expensive anti-aging clinic. To activate this cellular time machine, you only need one single, thoroughly researched ingredient called creatine monohydrate. Some people might still feel hesitant because they associate it with unnatural muscle-building steroids or worry about kidney stress. Let me be perfectly clear. Decades of rigorous clinical trials have completely shattered those outdated myths. When taken at the correct dosage, Creatine monohydrate is widely considered one of the safest, most thoroughly tested dietary supplements on the planet, perfectly suitable for healthy adults in their later decades of life. You do not need to cycle on and off of it, and you certainly do not need heavy, aggressive doses. The protocol is beautifully straightforward. You simply take 3 to 5 grams of high-quality creatine monohydrate every single day. You can easily mix this tasteless white powder into your morning glass of water, stir it into your daily cup of coffee, or blend it directly into a healthy smoothie. It genuinely does not matter what time of day you take it. What matters is that you take it consistently, day after day, to keep those cellular energy banks permanently topped off and fully funded. Think of this tiny daily scoop as the absolute cheapest, safest, and most profoundly effective biological insurance policy you could ever possibly invest in. Every single time you dissolve that powder into your glass, you are sending a massive, restorative wave of life-giving energy down into the darkest, most rusted corners of your biology. It is a daily, unyielding commitment to your future self. It is a promise that you will not go quietly into the night, helplessly surrendering your physical strength and your brilliant mind to the passing decades. You are stepping into the later chapters of your life not as a fragile passenger, but as a powerful, capable architect of your own health. Aging is a universal natural law. It comes for every single one of us. But the speed of that aging, and the strength you carry through it, is entirely decided by you.